Good morning and thank you very much. Very rewarding to see so many familiar faces and thank you for the support in the past year. Some of you I see for the first time since a long period as there was COVID in place, and it's really great to see you again here at our AGM. Here's my forward-looking statement, and I will indeed provide a summary in terms of our achievements in financial year 2023. We'll provide an outlook and fresh from ESMO some data. I would also like to mention that our new Chief Medical Officer, Florian Vogel, is joining also the webcast, unable to actively participate, but he sends his best regards. He was at ESMO, so unfortunately he can't be here, but I would like to mention that he is, even though it's quite late in Europe, still participating. First of all, a short overview regarding Immutep. You as our shareholders or guests here, you know of course the company very well, so you know our key characteristics. Only luxury pure play, having a deep pipeline, and we are active in autoimmune diseases, which you see here at the bottom, with two assets, IMP 761, I will talk about this a little bit later. Then we out-licensed two assets, GSK 781 or LEC 525, also called Iramilimab, to GSK and Novartis respectively. We have been introducing a new very early stage program during the course of the financial year, which is here mid of this page. It's an anti-LAG-3 small molecule program, if you like. It's an immune checkpoint inhibitor pill. So what Opdualag from Bristol Myers Squibb is doing, subcutaneous injection. This is, at very early stage, a potential pill to achieve the same. Then clearly our flagship eftilagimod alpha, which is dominating our news flow, dominating, I believe, also the perception which we have in different clinical trials, out-licensed in the territory of China to EOC. I won't go too much into detail here, just as a reminder, especially eftilagimod on the left-hand side. It's a unique asset. It's unparalleled globally. So we have here the only MHC class II agonist. There are other APC activators, but MHC class II, we are the only ones doing that. Unlike this field here, an immune checkpoint inhibitor, LEC 525, which we out-licensed to Novartis, same concept like the marketed drug from Bristol Myers Squibb. But what we do on the left-hand side to activate the immune system broader and deeper than many other approaches is indeed unique. And of course, everything you see here has been pioneered by Frederic, our CSO and Executive Director, who is leading the LAG-3 space, has been practically developing it from scratch since more than 30 years now. And it's not only about the science, it's not only about benefit for patients, but this translates, if you have registered drugs, also in huge commercial success. Billions of dollars have been generated in the last year with the class of anti-PD-1, anti-PD-L1 drugs. So more than $37 billion alone with that specific class of products, immuno-oncology products. And if you look at a drug with which we are combined, Keytruda, for instance, last year, $21 billion, round about 40% of that, give or take, a non-small cell lung cancer, which is our key focus. And we have, as you see on the left-hand side, and as I will explain hopefully later on, quite remarkable results specifically in that combination. We achieved quite a bit during financial year 2023. I will be more specific in the next slides, but the non-small cell lung cancer, very good progress towards a phase 3 clinical trial, a traditional registration trial. In head and neck cancer, we have been working to recruit TACTI 003, and we hope to have it fully recruited soon, in the next few weeks actually. In metastatic breast cancer, we started a new clinical trial, the phase 2 part of APEX 003, also quite important because it's looking at different dose levels of eftilagimod. And we expanded, as promised, our clinical pipeline. We have a look at new indications partly in collaboration with other institutes and partners. If we look here at FTSARC-NEO, in so-called investigator-initiated trial from the Marie Curie Institute in Warsaw, fully funded by the Polish government. And it's an exciting setting in so-called neoadjuvant treatment, so before surgery of that terrible cancer disease. And also I should mention, of course, Insight 005 in collaboration with German Merck, Merck KGaA and Avelumab, where German Merck is also paying a part of the study. Financially, our increased activities have, of course, logically been leading also to especially higher R&D and IP expenses. Unfortunately, typical for biotech, we are in a loss-making position. This has not changed in the past years. But we have a very strong cash runway till early 2026. We are very thankful for the support we have been receiving from our shareholders and also some new investors regarding our last capital raise. Very, very important. Times are difficult since now almost 2 years. I will speak more about this a little bit later. And to see then such a strong capital raise has been sending a very good signal to other investors, to the audience, and also to the pharmaceutical industry. So very important that we got that done. We have been achieving also an area which is very often overlooked, quite a lot in terms of commercial scale manufacturing of eftilagimod. This is very often not in the focus, but of course, if you have great clinical results, if you move forward to registration, you need to manufacture your drug, and you need to do it in a reliable scale which is big enough to serve for the global markets. So this is an extremely important area, and actually here today with us is also our Director Manufacturing, Dr. Claudia Jacobi, here at the front. And if you have any questions around manufacturing, she will for sure be much more capable to answer those than I am. We have been last week to China, WuXi Biologics, our manufacturer for eftilagimod. They have different manufacturing sites, so in China, in Germany, in Ireland, in the United States, in New Jersey. And they have now a 12% share of the global market. So we have been teaming up years ago with one of the strongest players in biological manufacturing. They know and work with 300 companies and mention Immutep, hard to see, us among key collaborators besides Merck US, GSK, Genentech, Bayer, and so on and so forth. So we have a long-term relationship, and this is also very, very important. We have been making progress in terms of 2,000 liter scale-up, in terms of regulatory approval for that, because everything you do in terms of manufacturing, in terms of preclinical and clinical development, needs to be checked on by the so-called competent authorities, by the regulators. They need to sign off, otherwise it practically doesn't exist or is irrelevant. And you will never get a product registered if you don't complete all these checkboxes, which takes time and, frankly speaking, requires some money and a lot of know-how. So we have been making very good progress, and we will hopefully continue to make more progress. Next regulatory agency we will discuss with is the FDA in terms of manufacturing. You will hear from us in terms of updates from this important area. We have just very recently, 3 days ago, presenting results from TACTI 002 at ESMO. You see here a picture, crowded. We shouldn't be arrogant here, but we are almost getting used to that. We had very good presentations in 2022. It's good to see this continued in this year, alongside the clinical success. I believe that's justified to say. And we have been reporting data from first-line non-small cell lung cancer, terrible disease, a key reason why people die in oncology, and also very important in terms of the market and market reflection. You see that the total addressable market is round about 24 billion. Russell mentioned in his address that the market in a few years from now is believed to be around about $48 billion US dollars. So to make a difference there is important for patients and also very important for commercial reasons. If you dig deeper in terms of drug pricing, in terms of changes, for instance, IRA in the United States, it's important that you work in big indications and try to move the big indications first from a commercial perspective. Here's the trial design. We conduct TACTI-002 or Keynote 798. Merck always has keynote designations for their clinical trials in collaboration with Merck. So it's a combination of Keytruda plus eftilagimod. 114 patients in total, pretty representative demographics. Not surprisingly, a lot of current or former smokers. More male than female, and we have also the so-called PD-L1 levels measured by Merck. The more PD-L1 is expressed in a tumor, the better Keytruda will work. So high PD-L1 means high chances to react to the standard of care Keytruda. Low PD-L1, TPS, it's a score, so TPS means PD-L1 practically. Low PD-L1, suboptimal reaction to Keytruda. No PD-L1, very, very bad chances, unfortunately, for the patients to react to Keytruda or other anti-PD-1s. This trial has been recruited in the United States and Australia as well as in Europe, and we have been presenting excellent overall survival benefit practically across all subgroups of PD-L1 expression, TPS scores, so PD-L1 below 1, here in this column, between 1 to 49 and greater equal 50, and then you can group the patients, and the median overall survival, which is the most important endpoint, is very, very remarkable, even for the patients with a TPS score below 1, where you have round about 15.5 months median overall survival. This is actually in line with some standard of cares for greater equal 1. So it's quite good results regardless of TPS expression. And the data is also relatively mature with a median follow-up of more than 25 months. Especially in our key focus, TPS score greater equal 1, so the low and high PD-L1 expressors, round about 2/3 of the market, we saw very, very good results with 35.5 months median overall survival. You may recall that in May we had a press release announcing 25 months median overall survival in that group. So with more follow-up, this has been improving significantly, and also the other efficacy parameters like progression-free survival. This is a so-called Kaplan-Meier curve. Every step here represents an event. Unfortunately, in overall survival, every step means a patient passing away. But these results are very good, and I will put them into perspective in the next 2 slides. If you compare that historically, it's a not controlled clinical trial, historically to Keytruda, you see that we have very, very remarkable results across the board in terms of median overall survival, of course the most important endpoint, progression-free survival and overall response rate. And this is important for the patients. So we have been increasing, this is what we discussed earlier, a year ago for instance, we have been increasing the number of patients which react with tumor shrinkage to treatment, so the tumor decreasing, overall response rate. We have then been seeing a very good so-called progression-free survival and also duration of response. So the quality of the response has been very good. Not only more patients reacted with tumor shrinkage, but that tumor shrinkage was long-term, deep and durable. So quantitatively good, also qualitatively good. And this finally has been leading also to good overall survival. And this also, and this has been mentioned by the discussant at ESMO, so results are discussed, with very good tolerability. So if you look here at the TREs, treatment-related adverse events, so where a patient can't take the drug anymore because can't tolerate the treatment, happens quite frequently with chemotherapy, for instance. You see that this is very favorable, by and large the same like Keytruda. Pembrolizumab is another name for Keytruda, like Keytruda monotherapy. Now, first time we show the next few slides. We have been presenting at ESMO also some updated results from INSIGHT 003, where we look at chemotherapy plus Keytruda plus eftilagimod in first-line non-small cell lung cancer. It's a standard of care. And we have been recruiting now in total 27 patients. So this 21 was as of January, now it's 27 patients. We will go up to 50 patients in total. Hope to have this trial fully recruited in first half of 2024. You see the treatment, but it is, as mentioned, single-arm clinical trial, eftilagimod plus Keytruda plus chemotherapy. And from the first 21 patients, we have already very remarkable results. A response rate of 71%. Most of the responses confirmed. Confirmed means that you have a second scan, so the patient experienced a tumor shrinkage, which is observed on the first scan. You speak of a confirmed response when you have then a second scan where the tumor is still in remission. If a patient, for instance, if it is too early, has not had the second follow-up, it's an unconfirmed response or left the study earlier on, but both means tumor shrinkage. And it's earlier on, but progression-free survival looks also very interesting. And if you look at the PD-L1 expression levels, greater equal 50, only around about 20% of patients have greater equal 50, which is good and also the way it should be, because we would like to focus with the chemo setting on patients with low or no PD-L1 expression. And if you look then a little bit further into the so-called waterfall plot, so every bar represents the tumor increase or shrinkage of the patient. And you see here also the PD-L1 TPS score. So 0 means this patient had practically not a good chance to react to Keytruda. But yeah, 90% of patients had a benefit from treatment. So the disease control rate is very high. And we see this in all subsegments of PD-L1 with a very high response rate. One needs to be careful. Early days, smaller number of patients, only 21, but it looks quite good. If you benchmark the results with all due respect to early data, but you see that our overall response rate is quite promising. And we are very eager to have then 50 patients recruited and draw our conclusions from more mature data. And you will hear data updates then in the next year. I think this will be also quite informative. Meaning we have, if you take the data sets together, and this is what the data indicates, that we have the chance to address the whole PD-L1 dependent patient population. Greatest, most important cancer indication. And we can address TPS below 1, 1 to 49, and greater equal 50%, which is a big statement because some other IO therapies are limited to the PD-L1 high expressors like anti-TIGIT. This is where they focus on. So we have here a unique opportunity. We have a unique positioning in terms of the drug and also a unique chance. Of course, we need to do the next things right. Our phase 3 planning is underway. We discussed it during a webcast yesterday, which is also available for replay. I don't want to reiterate everything we have said there, but the principles are that we would like to capture United States and Europe, so capture 70 to 80% of the market. That we would also, with a chemo-free setting, we would like to double the chemo-free addressable market, so take low and high PD-L1 expressors. A few other updates. We have been presenting at ESCO, so in June this year, data from second-line head and neck cancer. Also there, very exciting results, long-term durable responses, smaller number of patients, but interesting. Also the complete response rate was very high, so complete disappearance of target lesions, non-target lesions, so quite important for the patients, median duration of response not reached. And we are currently recruiting, and I hope that this is finished very soon, because we saw there a few delays, especially during summertime, so we hope to have it recruited earlier on. This randomized clinical trial, TACTI-003, in first-line head and neck cancer, where we have multiple shots on goal. Cohort B is focusing on patients CPS below 1. Forget CPS, think of PD-L1. It's the same principle like in lung cancer. So no PD-L1 can't be randomized versus Keytruda, because Keytruda, there's a clear benchmark, gives you round about 5% overall response rate. So a win would be a substantially better response rate than 5%. Cohort A is looking at PD-L1 levels above 1, categorized a little bit differently in head and neck cancer, so 1 to 19 and greater equal 20. Randomized 1-to-1, so one group of the patients is getting Keytruda, the other group of the patients is getting Keytruda plus eftilagimod. And we hope to have results as soon as we reasonably can. Will not be feasible till the end of the year, as recruitment has been delayed a little bit. And we will of course announce once 100% of patients are being recruited. The so-called primary analysis is defined in the protocol. It's 18 weeks after last patient in, plus of course a normal data cleaning period. Metastatic breast cancer, these are results we have been publishing in May 2022 at ESMO Breast. I don't go too much into detail. The take-home message is that what we said earlier on, immune booster, broad and deep, this is what you can measure in patients. Here in a double-blind randomized clinical trial, where you see a statistically significant correlation of increased immune system, cytotoxic CD8 T cell count, and increased overall survival. And we have now ongoing and started APEX-003, a phase 2/3 clinical trial in metastatic breast cancer, hormone receptor positive, HER2 negative, and also including wish of the agencies. We discussed it with FDA twice and also with EMA, triple negative metastatic breast cancer. Importantly, the US FDA is enforcing all companies or for all programs so-called Project Optimus. So they look for dose optimization. Often they require a lower dosage. In our case, they asked us to test one higher dosage. So we are also now testing 90 milligram, has not been tested before. So we have all the results you saw have been achieved with 30 milligram subcutaneous administration of eftilagimod. And we have been treating the first 6 patients with 90 milligram. No news so far, which is good news, meaning no dose-limiting toxicity or other unusual events have happened. Otherwise, we would have been press releasing it, of course. So the 90 milligram dose may provide us with a chance to see higher efficacy if the safety remains the same. So we will do a very straightforward assessment, risk-benefit assessment, PK, PD, so pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic assessments of 30 versus 90 milligram, and maybe we see something better. We know, of course, that 30 milligram is a pharmacologically active dose. It's perfectly fine. But if things are even improving, why not? IMP761 is also moving forward. We feel that it's very often not getting the required attention. Eftilagimod always is in the spotlight. We hope that this will change with the progress we are making. So we are currently working on IND-enabling studies, so preclinical studies to enable the program to move to clinical development. and we plan to be in clinical development by mid of 2024. And it's an exciting area, often focused on oncology, but it's an exciting area. You see other immune checkpoint agonists, PD-1 agonists, for instance, from Eli Lilly in the United States. Gilead acquired a company for $400 million from the UK having a checkpoint agonist. You see in immunology, autoimmune inflammatory diseases, also a lot of investments. So besides oncology, we do hope that we get a little bit more credit also for our efforts in autoimmune diseases, especially as this is, again, a unique product. It's the world's first LAG-3 agonist, and it took Frederic and his team a decade to generate this exciting asset, which has been published in Journal of Immunology and also from an independent group out of Denmark, I believe, in pediatric research in terms of juvenile arthritis. Outlook and milestones. It's a biotech company, and Russell has been mentioning already the difficult markets. Of course, we believe we do not get the share price reflection and the value we believe, the intrinsic value the program has, eftilagimod alone and everything else that we have. But the markets are right now, and right now is not precise, since almost 2 years, extremely tough. This began with interest rates hikes, geopolitical issues. You may recall the supply chain discussion during COVID. So not very good. If you look here at this chart on the top left-hand side, you see that the so-called XBI, that's an exchange traded fund. So practically it's a reflection of many different biotech companies, large biotech companies with billions of dollars market valuation, small biotech companies versus our US listed securities. You see that our performance compared to that is not that bad actually. We are all not happy about the share price, but the performance versus many peers versus index is not that bad. And we also see, and this is important, that for instance in May, we see sometimes quite remarkable share price reactions. In May, when we announced the first time median overall survival in non-small cell lung cancer, we have been volume-wise #2 traded stock on Nasdaq. And they kindly put this up on Times Square. We have been having fabulous trading days also in the past. For instance, around metastatic breast cancer has been down first of all and then up later on after a spotlight presentation at San Antonio Breast. So we can surprise the market, but the environment is currently very tough. The good news is though, as the environment is now very tough, a lot of beers underway, little hope, it's then time to turn. And of course, 2 years, especially in the United States, almost unprecedented. 2010-11, I recall those days, have also been tougher. But deals are being done in terms of M&A, in terms of licensing deals. And the expectation is that the market, no one has a crystal ball, but that the market, especially for our segment, will turn in the next year. So we achieved, hopefully you see it the same way, quite a lot in terms of milestones in the past. We have a lot to do in the future and a lot of exciting milestones ahead as well. In non-small cell lung cancer, next stop is already in 3-4 weeks at SITC in San Diego, where we will report on biomarker results for non-small cell lung cancer. So where we look not at efficacy endpoint like overall survival or tumor shrinkage that much, but more on how cells have been differentiating. Are there more CD8 T cells, for instance, as one of the basic questions? And is there some biological pattern we can measure which helps us to better understand which patient populations could benefit from eftilagimod specifically? And what is it also in this setting, what we change in the immune system? So this is also something to look out for, quite informative. Of course, head and neck cancer first line, TACTI-003, complete enrollment, and then we should also, of course, see data. Non-small cell lung cancer, INSIGHT-003, more updates, I mentioned that. Metastatic urothelial carcinoma, bladder cancer, the trial with Merck, soft tissue sarcoma. This will be quite insightful. First time we tested there. Let's see what we can report there. In autoimmune diseases, IND-enabling studies of IMP761 plus clinical development. We anticipate the start mid of next year, and then updates from other programs, and we address all of that from a financial position of strength, 110 million cash on bank, end of September 2023, with a runway till early 2026. Of course, including, and this is something which we should have been potentially adding here, including a phase 3 in first-line non-small cell lung cancer. Very important. We have a lot of discussions around that with the regulators. You will hear more about that in the not too distant future, I hope, and also with the big pharmaceutical industry. And that's it. Thank you so much.